heavy summer splits.
Bruiser heavy.
Bruiser heavy.
If you ask Wonder, for sure. And I think as you can see here on the screen, like a lot of different picks coming in from him. Some of the big ones maybe to look at could be things like a Jax or a Gnar. Picks that can really control the side lane for Wonder later. That's where Expect normally falls down a little bit, and he's more of a team fighting play in the late game. Wonder wants to be a split pusher. It could be a win condition for Splyce, but they need to get him a good counter matchup.
Are you seeing anything surprising here, picks and bans wise? Engage supports off the table. Alistair Rakan gone.
Elise still open. It's something that we do see banned away most of the time. It is left open here for G2 to play. Now, we have seen Trick with the Elise a few times. Always kind of on and off performances on this champion, and I think G2 eSports might not just favor that as an instant lock-in, and could actually be good for Trashy if he wants the early game power.
All right, let's see if Trashy decides to go that route. The hover on Tristana, by the way, one of the winningest champions here in the EU LCS. A great percentage, over 60%.
Yeah, I just want to talk really quick also why this Tristana is smart here. So mobile AD carries, they're in the meta, it's the hot stuff, it's what everyone wants to play. When you ban Rakan, you kind of remove the Xayah-Rakan combo that you have to respect. So by also having, of course, a Kalista ban on red side, which you guys will see almost every single game because she's insanely overpowered, the Tristana goes really high up in priority. But Splyce on their side, Galio locked in as a flex choice, and the Jarvan also a flex.
All right, so Splyce not revealing their cards yet. That looks like some side lane power to me, no matter where they end up.
For sure. It's not a pure split pusher, but it is a champion that if it gets ahead, you can actually be very active on the map and keep forcing plays. The Cassiopeia coming in was traditionally a good counterpick to the Galio. However, with the adaptive helmet buffs that happened like 1 or 2 patches ago, the matchup is at least manageable for Galio. It's no longer as bad as it used to be, so you can take the Galio mid lane here if you want to, and you can survive and just push out your lane and then leave the lane.
Kind of fits Senkax as well. Definitely been a guy who's shone in the past, playing the side lane. It is a Thresh lock-in for Miffy. Played that 4 times this split, 3 games won and the loss, and now we just need to see where the jungler and the solo lane goes. The reply will be the Sivir as we enter phase 2.
All right, Sivir here with their spell shield against Thresh. Other champions that we might see against the Thresh is things like the Tahm Kench, the Morgana, champions that can really deny his pick potential completely. Or you can try and go for maybe if you want to have another tank in there, like a Trundle pick. But there's not a lot of tanks being shown on the side of G2 that you should actually be kind of afraid of, where Trundle would add a lot of value, and it is an AD carry with a dash as well. So there's also a chance we get a Blitzcrank from Mickey. I always think it's fun to pick Blitz against Thresh. You can actually just hook him, and you can nuke him down pretty quickly.
Well, Hook City, something has been seen a lot in the past. We're in phase 2. Surprised at all by Elise making it all the way through to phase 2?
I think
priorities being higher.
So the thing about this meta, Trevor, that is super interesting is a lot of teams have different priorities on a lot of different picks. It's very open. Elise, some teams would say that's the first pick, we need it, it's awesome, or maybe even perm ban. I think for G2 it makes sense to not value it early for Trick. And Trashy seems to like the Jarvan, or at least the flex choice of the Jarvan above the Elise as well. So just 2 junglers not putting high priority on it here for the first game.
I'm seeing Gnar still open and available, something that Expect has used to great effect in the past.
Yeah, I would actually love to see Gnar from Wonder. Expect's answer is the Jace that can win the early game, but that Jace in the late game is tough to execute for Expect. It will be the Morgana though, as we mentioned before here, another one of those champions that can deny the pick potential of a Thresh. His hook will not be that impactful against a spell shield and a black shield, so Mithy is not going to have a lot of fun early game.
No, definitely not the case. Splyce still keeping their option to flex that Jarvan and Galio. We'll see where it ends up. And G2, Trick has played a lot of tanks recently. Definitely favor the Sejuani with Zac all the way down. He's locked that in.
Now, I don't know if Trashy plays Poppy, but this could be one of those surprises where we saw it from Maxlore yesterday. You put the Jarvan top lane, you put the Galio mid lane, and you pick a Poppy, and you counter the Zac because you can block his engage with your W from the Poppy. Now, I don't know if he's going to play it. I think they might just want to try and counter pick top against Expect with a Wonder pick. So it is going to be the Gnar here. I think this is actually a little bit safer by the Kennen ban, which could be one of the counter picks against it. I do wonder if we're going to get a Jace pick here from Wonder specifically, that they can then actually play around as well with the Galio.
All right, let's find out. 15 seconds before Splyce goes to confirm their team composition. fairly expected champions on the side of G2 eSports, and it looks like it's one of a Wonder specials at the moment.
It's one of the other ones. I think a little bit safer, so I actually prefer this above the Jace from him specifically, where the goal basically is Mini Gnar is fairly squishy. Once you get a few levels for Camille, you can actually start all-inning the Gnar if you know where the jungler is on the map or if your jungler is nearby. And Gnar can't really respond back because his damage is just not high enough in the early game to really kill the Camille. So this is actually a matchup where Wonder can take over. And this is what we said.
Yeah.
Hey, give us a top laner where Wonder can try and win his side lane, where he gets a counter pick. And let's see if they can actually get him ahead.
And he's doing it into one of Expect's biggest comfort champions. All split long, he's at 5.1 KDA on that now. Expect 5 wins and 1 loss. I want to see how well he performs. But, you know, Deficient, when we were preparing for this series, we had a lot of questions. How and where and what would Splyce try to do to break into the matchup? Because the expectation is they're the underdogs.
Yep.
And do you think this Picks and Bans has given us an indication for game 1 of where they believe the answer is?
I really like the fact that we get the Jarvan jungle over the Elise to tell us that one, of course, Trashy can have early game impact on it, but he realizes he needs some late game scaling as well in case they can't close out the game early. That's where Jarvan comes in instead of Elise. And I like the Galio mid for Senkux. I love when this guy is playing these utility champions where his job is to push his lane and then go to either top lane or bot lane and snowball his teammates.
Well, let's see whether or not he can snowball Cobby and Mickey, who've had a phenomenal summer split. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the second quarterfinal of the European LCS, and it is the very first time G2 eSports has ever appeared. And they are taking on Splyce. This is a rematch of the Summer Split Finals from last year.
Yeah, I love when you say it like that. You know, it's the first time they've ever been in a quarterfinal. It sounds like, hey, they made playoffs for the first time. Congratulations, G2. But no, they just always go straight to the semi-final because they win the regular season. They go into the final as well. They win the final 3-1, funny enough, every single time as well.
Mm-hmm. And for G2, we heard the heavy-handed loss to Fnatic, given Splyce a little bit of hope. You heard that pre-game video where they were saying, look, they're fallible. They're not the unstoppable European super team that they have been.
Made us all lose hope in Perks' Galio as well. And that's why Senkux gets it this time around. G2 did first pick the Tristana, which is very common in this patch here. And again, a lot of these AD carries, they want champions with dashes, jumps, because you play a lot against champions like Jarvan. And imagine you're playing an Ashe. You go into a team fight, you get Jarvan ulted, and you're stuck in there, you're not getting out. You feel like you're useless, you can't deal damage, and you just lose late game fights. Tristana can jump out of it, and that's why she's such a valuable pick right now. And then, of course, also, if there's Ardent Sensor support, even better synergy, but not in this game.
Yeah, not this time around. That Buster Shot will also be helpful against Wonder's Camille, as he tries to put that Hextech ultimatum down, try to lock people in. All right, no shenanigans early game. Both teams just fanned out and went for the standard starts. Strong pulls for both sides. But we've talked a lot about the top laners, and I want to look to Expect, because, Deficia, you talked about Jace and how Expect played it recently. Not the greatest. His Kennen, his Fiora. When Expect is more on these bruisery champions, he looks a lot better.
Yeah, I think the best for Expect is to have a champion with a solid to strong laning phase, and then a champion that needs to join his team in the late game and play team fights. That's where I really think he shines. You can see some of the other 3 champions to the right, Jace, Kennen, Fiora, are very much split pushers. So yes, if you get past your laning phase and you start getting into the late game and you can be a side lane split pusher, normally that is good for a lot of top laners, but that's just not his strength. Yeah. I think he doesn't fully understand when to push forward, when to back away, and it often ends up not being too impactful. The Renekton and the Gnar, where he can actually just do well in the laning phase and then join with a teleport or a flank, and have a sick team fight, that's like the Expect we want to see. Think back to MSI with the Gragas play as well. Like, we want to see him join his team.
And we want to see whether or not the team believes in me, was, I believe, the quote from that Gragas play. While the top laners were trading a little bit, Trashy's roamed to the mid lane. Great taunt. That gets the insta-cleanse.
Good little move here from Perks, getting out of the knock-up from Trashy, meaning he doesn't have to flash. Hook connecting. All
right, a little bit of damage coming down. The spell shield will at least block any further follow-up.
Copy there. A little bit slow in the start. No spell shield instantly. Came in later with the black shield as well. But first gank here avoided by Perks. Senkux wants a bit more, and We've seen this a lot now from Trashy. Go mid lane early game. Play around Senkuk's early game. Senkuk's early game stats have gotten way better compared to last split because he's getting some of this jungle help as well. This first gank, though, only got a cleanse. They really wanted more.
I'm really glad you bring that up because Trashy has been more active in the early game over the course of the last few weeks. Teleport comes back to the mid lane for Senkuk in terms of side lane plays. He's going to have that Hero's entrance and the TP for the mid to late game plays. Definitely going to allow him to either work around Wonder or Cobby.
And I think double teleport against Cassiopeia is super, super good because one of the weaknesses of Cassiopeia, one of the few, is that she tends to lack a place to be in the map in the mid to late game. She doesn't really want to play side lane too often because she can't push forward due to low mobility. And her wave play in the mid lane kind of requires her to spam away on these minions and not just instantly kill them like a Galio. So it can be difficult. Now let's see what happens mid.
All right, 2-on-1. Senkuk is going to be able to dash away, but the stretching strike from Trick connects. Winds of War tagging Perks, and Senkuk ends up winning the trade. Keep in mind, he's backed and TP'd back into lane.
And also, he's a Galio, very tanky here, who can go for magic resistance because he's against Cassiopeia and Zac. So it's going to be very hard to kill Senkuk with ganks from Trick, meaning he should be able to play super aggressive. And to go back to the teleport point, when then we get to the mid to late game, and Perks might struggle to find a lane to actually sit and farm in, that's where the double TP from Splyce allows them to play super, super active on the map. Cross-mapping, maybe punish Perks if he's stuck in a side lane. You make a play on the other side, and Cassiopeia can't join. And that's where Galio can always join with either TP or ulti.
All right, so Splyce macro potentially a way in. Something I just noticed on Sven's Tristana, at level 4 is the first time he's put a point into that explosive charge. Definitely not pushing the wave.
I mean, Spell Shield is really gonna annoy you for Sven, so... I think G2 realized very quickly that this is a bot lane that's tough for them to actually get kills in, and it becomes very much just a pushing war, and that is the dream for Sivir. You don't pick Sivir to stomp your lane in terms of kills, you pick it to just perma-push the lane.
Well, perma push the lane. Senkuk's flash, Justice punch as well. That will get Perks' flash. Miasma comes down and Perks with the Twin Fangs turns his attention to Trashy. Trashy's down to 100 HP. Trashy forced to flash. Winds of War now on Perks. Senkuk looking for the engage. First blood with a bash to the face. The Duran taunt locks down Trick for a few seconds longer. But Senkuk's in an army of minions. He's forced to back away. Trick's passive still up, but Splyce get first blood.
Oh, Perks right there. He thought he had backup earlier maybe from Trick, and that's why he kept going. Or at least he thought he could kill Trashy, but there was still flash ready on this job, and then suddenly Perks end up actually being just way too aggressive. Let's see it again here. So this is the second gank from Trashy. Flash gone. He sees all the damage he gets on the Java, but there's still flash available. So he's never going to kill him. Trashy will always flash away. And Perks had used both summoners. Not sure if he thought Trick would be closer to help him. Ended up looking a little bit foolish.
Oh, debated indeed. So that's a good start here for Splyce. And to Fisher, I want to look at just some of the numbers of Trashy in the early game because we were mentioning how he has been more active, how he has ganked more. You can see JP, that's these jungle proximity between 2 and 15 minutes. That's climbed a little bit. Even though some of the kill participation and kill plus assists have gone down because they're losing, he's ganking more. He's been feeling it out. Remember back, Splyce's early game ganks have cost him games a few times.
It has happened a few times, but like think about this game right now. If it wasn't for Perks going aggressive right there, they wouldn't have gotten a kill yet, but they would still have gotten 2 successful ganks where they forced summoner spells, where they forced the Cassiopeia to play more defensive. So yes, ganks are not always about killing people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about getting summoner spells and giving your mid laner the advantage. Because Senkuk's right now, ulti is ready. He's ahead in this lane because of the ganks. He can actually start joining the side lane and make a play. Let's look top lane. Trashy's already up there. They can dive onto Expect with the Galio ulti.
Cataclysm's available. Expect's got flash and access to his Gnar. Oh, this is juicy. How clean will the tower dive be? That's the question we're answering. Mega Gnar's about to proc. Wonder goes down, locks him in.
That was clean.
You don't get better than that.
That was clean. So we can see the game plan from Splyce. Invest early ganks in the mid lane against Perks. Use that advantage to get Senkuk out of the mid lane to the side lane. And where do they go? To the counter pick top lane. They get Wonder ahead in his lane. Right now, Splyce are off to a great start in this game. And G2 eSports, they're under a lot of pressure.
Both kills picked up by Senkuk. He's already got himself 4 stacks on that Dark Seal. Splyce have got a 2,000 gold lead thanks to the first blood, the tower first blood. And now these advantages are starting to spill elsewhere. And we look at Splyce. How clean can they snowball this advantage? How do they take the next steps? And that's what they've been preparing for the last 3 weeks.
So far, it looks very practiced. And said this earlier, but picking the Zac with the Cassiopeia when you already see Galio locked in makes it very hard for Trick to assist his mid laner. Because again, you're gonna get magic resistance on this tank in the mid lane who will take no damage from these guys, and that means the 2v2 might also go in favor of Trashy and Sencooks. And that makes it even harder then for Perkz to get back in this game. Under a lot of pressure early. And let's see, Camille only got an assist, but still you're on the way to Trinity Force. You can start trading against Minior effectively, and Wonder is in a good spot. Actually, let's see if he's staying alive.
Oh, such a good hook shot from Wonder. Max range. Perkz was nearby, but as we catch a glimpse of Sencooks, he's 2 kills. He's got himself Merc Treads, as well as the Spectre's Cowl, so some early MR already.
Yeah, the classic, you know, at 9 minutes, you're over 100 MR already. That's always a good standard, and exactly what a Cassiopeia and Zac wants to see in the mid lane.
/S, in case anybody missed that. A little bit of sarcasm from Deficio. But that's exactly what Splyce wanted. They got their jungler that has the ability to have an early game impact. Trashy and Sencooks have taken over the top half of the map, and we've not looked or talked about the duos in the bottom lane. Sven, plus 10 CS, but it's not a huge advantage at this stage.
No, again, bot lane is literally just a farm fest. Obviously, it's great for the Tristana to find in the laning phase, but really what Splyce are waiting for is to coordinate a play around Copy and Mickey. It's not the 2v2. They're waiting for Sencooks to have ulti again. Remember, on this patch, it is a longer cooldown, so it is a little bit easier to play against. But once it is available, you might see Trashy go towards the bottom lane. You might see Sencooks go towards the bottom lane, and that's where Splyce can make a play with the 2v2 lane.
All right, so some more options opening up, especially with the map advantage. I'm taking a look at Expect. He's already backed away and moving to the Rift Herald, it appears.
So while he's moving there, we can also take a look at the wards, because as we talk about Splyce setting up that potential play in the bottom lane, Mithy and Trig right now have done a good job kind of saying, yeah, we think that's going to happen. We're going to completely ward the bottom side. If we switch the vision over to G2, you're going to see how much they're actually seeing at the bottom side river with some of the wards. One just disappeared, sadly, just as I say it, but that's how it is. Still, they had another ward in there just before, and they're trying to spot if Sencooks and Trashy are moving to the bottom lane.
Sencooks' teleport is on cooldown, but his ultimate is not. Trashy's going to pop that blast cone and just reset. No big item spikes just yet. You know, still tier 1s. Sencooks with his gold lead in a great position.
Sheen on Camille, my friend.
Oh, I mean, it is strong, and plus 20 CS for Wonder, setting them up well. But I'm waiting for the Trinity Force power spike. And Trashy and Sencooks, by the way, walking all over that G2 vision. So G2 will be relatively aware, and you can see them pinging out this little invade.
Yeah, so with the one ward they had left in the river, they did still spot Trashy and Sencooks, so the point still stands. They should actually have been pink warded by Splyce in advance, so they could have, control warded. Bot lane, Trevor, they are fighting.
All right, Copy's spell shield is just timed out. Sven not going to find the kill, thanks to the hero's entrance. Now Sven holding on to his flash for a few seconds longer. Teleport from Wonder takes him down. Now Splyce are looking for more. A 3-man taunt is Expect, forced to flash defensively. Let's bounce, brings him under a tower. Prick is able to escape. Splyce get themselves 2, and now they're sieging the tower.
Okay, Trevor, we get that bot lane fight. Prick is still alive.
He is indeed, and he's looking for another pick. The taunt, the knock up, the dash. That's the Zac passive popped. Perkz running low on mana. Dark Binding won't find a target, and Trick is able to survive. Keeps himself alive for now, but the tower likely will not.
So G2 eSports just gave Splyce the fight they were looking for anyway. They were setting up for this bot lane play, and as soon as the bottom lane from G2 went aggressive, Splyce reacted. Sencooks was there, Trashy came down, great TP from Wonder, and this game plan is being executed very well by Splyce. Mid lane into top lane snowball, and then you go bottom lane. Look at this, on the minimap. They're already moving down here, so when G2 goes aggressive, without actually respecting who is currently missing from Splyce, well then it's almost too easy for Splyce to take the fight.
Such a great play. G2 fully aware of it as well. All the wards, all the vision, but there's just too much power and tools in the Splyce camp.
They saw Sencooks and Trashy walk over the ward in the river. and they knew they were in the jungle, and yet they saw an opportunity to go for a play on Copy, but his own spell shield and the hero's entrance from Senkooks made sure that Copy stayed alive.
So, Deficio, earlier today, Shox made that statement that Splyce have never beaten G2 in a series. The all-time record's 12-3.
And this is a B1, right?
The 2017 record is 4 wins for G2, 1 to Splyce. And in that single game win, Splyce had a 1,600 gold lead at 15 minutes and a 3,000 gold lead roughly at 20 minutes. They're already above that now as the Rift Herald is secured by G2.
But
Trick is able to escape. They can't pick up the Herald though. Take a look at how well they can play. Of course, Marty in the crowd. Leave GM or team owner for Splyce. I'm looking for a thumbs up, not going to get it yet. Either way.
He waved at you instead. You didn't get a thumbs up, he just waved.
Support staff from Splyce in crowd going to be very happy with this opening game. And as I mentioned, the only time Splyce have beat G2 this year, 1,600 goal lead at 15 minutes. Their 4,000 gold lead up by 14.5.
And they denied the Rift Herald as well, because no one is allowed to go pick it up. Mithy might try and venture in, but nope. Too late. Great early game once again from Splyce. G2 in the bigger man phase technically had a fine draft. That's definitely not the issue here, but I think the fact that the Zac and Cassiopeia couldn't help each other against the Galio was a problem, and then the early plays from Trashy set up the rest of the team.
Just great team play out of Splyce as they start off this Mountain Drake. As you know, I love my dragon stats, Deficio.
Are you going to use them all in game one?
A little bit. G2, they've picked up 16 dragons this year against Splyce. This will only be the 3rd dragon they've ever secured this year. Now, of course, when you only win 1 game, that's a big reason for it.
True. And
I want to see how do Splyce potentially play the rest of this game. Because there's a lot of scaling, there's a lot of engagement. There's tools on the side of G2 to deal with Splyce, but they can't afford any more mistakes with this huge goal deficit.
And this is definitely very true. A lot of time before Sven really starts becoming a big carry here from G2 eSports. We're looking at the normal 3-item spike with Infinity Edge and Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon. So they can't rely on the Tristana for now. It's going to be more about what can expected perks do. And this Gnar here, as we said, saving that counter pick for Wonder proved very useful for Splyce. They got the 1 kill in lane against him, and now Wonder picked up another kill in the bot lane fight. So Trinity Force is completed for Camille. She is currently a massive threat against Expect 1v1, and you can see G2 eSports are reacting, sending both Mithy and Trick to the bottom lane.
And of course that adaptive helm at, what was it, 15 minutes when he picked it up, even some armor to boot. I mean, Senkooks definitely a little bit ahead of the curve when you get to this point.
Yeah, definitely true.
Two towers, 100% kill participation.
And now we also get to see this situation on the map where it's hard for Perks to really sit in a lane and have an impact. He can't go to the side lane due to no teleport, so you can see Senkooks is sitting top lane right now against Sven. And if you're defending mid lane as a Cassiopeia, you can do it as long as you're not getting sieged on. If the enemy team is sending 3-4 guys to the mid lane, Cassiopeia needs to surrender the wave and walk back to her tower. And then she doesn't get any real threat in the mid lane. And that's a problem here now for G2, because against double global, 2.5 even if you consider the Galio ulti. And you can see mid lane, they walk mid, everyone needs to back away, and there's a little bit of damage on tower every time.
And you have to respect the potential dives if you don't have full information.
Wow, Perks is fast.
Jarvan, Galio.
Sick APM right there.
Camille. The number of options available to Splyce for tower dives are beautiful. And we saw them pull off a gorgeous tower dive earlier in the game. So Perks, do not play with your life if you want to hold this tower.
And you can see right now, we get that setup where Perks needs to constantly step back. Always step back because he's getting sieged on. And his wave clear, as you can see, takes time.
Yeah.
It's a few hits every single time. And then if he doesn't kill the wave in time, I said time like 5 times there.
Yeah.
So time and time again, I say a lot of time. And they will, in time, kill the tower.
I definitely think it's time for a new phrase, Deficio, as Splyce, they don't continue sieging that mid tower. Just keep resetting 1-3-1 pretty much. Fully activated teleport for Wonder, teleport for Senkooks. So if anything were to happen, they can respond.
Yeah, one thing I would like to see is when Wonder is pushing the bottom lane all the way to the tier 2 tower, I want to see him and Mickey, with Trashy as well hopefully, walk into the enemy bot side jungle near that red buff of G2. Get your vision, kill the control wards, because then you can actually threaten tower dives with Wonder, where he walks into the jungle, Perkz doesn't know where he is. He could just appear behind him and kill him. So I want to see this bot side jungle warded up here from Splyce because they're already winning the bottom lane.
All right, expect's about to gnar out, but Wonder's already backed away. Looking down, summoner spells. Everybody's got their flashes. Defensive pink wards on the side of G2 all the way in their jungle. So Splyce not really grouping up for this. He's just trying to chip away. And, you know, they're happy, they're comfortable with their lead, and they're playing on the bottom lane.
But look at this. Now we get this invade here with Mickey coming in, Trashy's with Wonder. They're trying to go in and kill all the G2 vision and get their own control. I would actually love to see more control wards on the side of Splyce. It is playoffs. We can talk about that kind of stuff. We don't always have to just talk about banter and whatever. We can actually talk about control boards missing on the side of Splyce for full control.
All right, Sven fancies his chances here at Senkux. Manages to jump all the way forward. Rocket jumps in. Miffy was coming up, but look at the bottom lane. The target is Expect. His Gnar bar is starting to fill up. Flash away from Wonder. Cataclysm from Trashy comes down. Expect Gnar's out. Trashy's taken out tower by the Let's Bounce. Expect survives. Not much longer though, as it's a double kill for Trick at G2's first of the game.
All right, Splyce thought they could go for that kill in the bottom lane here. That was actually kind of risky because they didn't have Copy and Mickey nearby. They were still running from the mid lane. Instead of just taking the vision control on the bottom side and actually move Wonder to mid lane and secure a free mid tower, they opted in for the big play in the bottom lane and it backfired. That's 2 kills now for Trick. G2 eSports gets some breathing room as well.
Gonna delay and stall the game out. 3,000 is the gold lead as we get closer to 20 minutes. And to Fisher, about 6 or 7 minutes ago when Splyce started generating this lead, you talked about how they could play around the side lanes, how Splyce could play the map. And by the way, while this dive was starting, up on the top lane, Sven and Miffy, they were trying to combat Senkux.
Yeah, I think this play here, it makes sense if you know where the enemy jungler is on the map, because you can 2v1 dive the Gnar. But Trick was right there sitting, I think he was maybe in the brush when they started, or maybe there's some miscommunication, not actually saying that Trick was on the bottom lane, because then the play is obviously too aggressive and ends up backfiring here for Splyce. And that mid lane tower still being alive, it haunts me now. Because it's such an easy objective to kill if you just pushed out that bot lane, get bot lane vision control, and then just walk one lane to mid lane, and Perkz has to walk away from tower.
Ooh, let's see how long Perkz can hold on to that tower. And the guy you've got to keep your eyes on as these teams start to group is definitely going to be Sven. He's making his way to second item. Knight's Vow already completed by Trick, plus Ninja Tabby and that Cinderhulk. So he's going to be looking to buff up Sven as these team fights are being set up. And with Baron being an objective and the grouping here, a very short elastic slingshot comes down. Flag and drag in from Trashy. The lantern from Miffy is good. Petrifying Gaze buys some time. Trick is able to escape and no further fights.
That was a really good lantern from Miffy. Great positioning, stepping away from Perkz when Perkz gets engaged on. So you can always pull him out of either the Javan ulti or the Galio ulti as we saw here. Great use of lantern from Miffy, and that's another person to look at. Where is he positioning in the fight? Because he can save one guy. That's always the thing about Thresh. You have the lantern for one person only, so you gotta decide who you like the most on your team.
Because that's what determines it.
I mean, that's how it works,
Who's your favorite carry?
Which KDA do you save?
Perkz or Sven? Currently both at 0-1.
Sven can jump on his own. He doesn't need the lantern.
Well, we'll find out whether or not Miffy agrees with you.
We'll see. We'll see if he wants to save Perkz every time.
Morellonomicon to complement the Rod of Ages for Perkz. Second item slowly trickling through here. Senkux got his Frozen Hearts, and Splyce, they're still not taking down this mid turret.
Yeah, you feel how the game just slowed down after that bot lane play where G2 got the kills. The vision is not in the enemy jungle at all. I'm still not seeing the control wards in the inventory from Splyce that they can really push deep inside G2's jungle. They have a few defensive ones lined up, like one in the mid lane and one next to the mid lane, but those wards right now are not actually giving you that much value because you're the one pushing G2.
Yeah.
You want wards in their jungle. That's where you want to fight because you have control of all 3 lanes. Top lane is pushing with Galio, mid lane is pushing with Sivir, bot lane is pushing with Camille. I do not want to see G2 have any sort of control around the river at all.
Well, G2 are currently just playing defense and playing it very, very well. They punish Splyce. They're limited proactivity, maybe is a phrase I'll go with. And Trick on this Zac, it's so difficult to ward against him because not only do Splyce have to push into the jungle to even challenge for vision and push the lane, they have to go even deeper if they want to challenge Trick's engage range. And when we keep talking about those wards, every time I look at the minimap, G2 have got control wards placed defensively, protecting those inroads, and I can count about 8 of them in their inventory already. Versus, what, 6 for Splyce? No, 3 for Splyce.
3 right now. Obviously, 3 of them sitting on the same guy who can only place 1. He just put 1 down, that's why I'm saying 3. Mickey placed it here on the bottom side near the jungle, so that is an okay ward for him. And now we get that Wonder move in towards the mid lane where you want to force Perks back. This is the play we wanted to see 5 minutes ago from Splyce. And you can see how G2 eSports have to constantly respect it.
Deficio, in English we have a saying, better late than never. Let's see whether or not that is true for Splyce.
Well, at some point, you will just die when you do it because you can't actually like fight it that easy in the late game. But here we get the play. Here we get mid tower dying. 5 minutes later.
Better late than never. It is a trade though.
It
is a trade though.
You win.
Sven takes the top tower. This is going to open up the map a little. And that gigantic gold lead from earlier looks less impressive now.
Yeah, and there's 2 items on Sven as well. When we started talking about the Splyce snowball and that mid lane play, we were saying, oh, Sven is sitting on a BF sword and a pickaxe. He needs time, you know, 3 items. By the time they get the mid tower, Sven has now completed 2.5 items. He is very close to hitting his 3-item power spike. And then G2 eSports will be fine taking team fights.
Yeah, especially as 2,000 gold at this stage in the game doesn't mean anything. It's relatively speaking insignificant. If we look at the gold differences, it is the top lane where you see it. 1,000 gold separates Expect and Wonder. So that's a sheen, basically. And the rest of the lanes, relatively even. But as Expect starts to gnaw out, Wonder realizes he doesn't want to trade. And that was the matchup pattern that you were talking about, Deficio, how in mini-gnaw form, Wonder's got somewhat of an advantage.
And another thing that's been actually really good for G2 is Sven has been allowed to sit in this side lane, in the top lane, and just pushing it against Galio for the entire mid game. And the TP was never really used by Senkooks to actually go onto the other side, force a play maybe, near that bottom lane, near the mid lane, whatever it is. And this actually means just because the game has slowed down so much, the double TP comp, with even a Galio ulti as well, if needed, have not been able to spread out and punish a team with only 1 teleport that's getting pushed in 3 lanes.
Yeah.
3 lanes. You can't get pushed in more lanes than 3.
Well, there are no more lanes,
There are no more lanes.
Well, let's see
It
whether...
couldn't get any worse.
Let's see whether or not Splyce can figure out the roadmap. Maybe use some of their tools a little more. Ardent Sensor was picked up by Mickey. Let's see what that can do. Locket has been sitting with Trashy for a little while, because we're now moving well into the mid-game. 2 items for almost everybody. And G2 starting to push some of their vision out. I've seen G2 wards in the river, which is not something I've seen for 15 minutes.
They're finding new land.
Yeah, new
unexplored
ways.
land for G2 eSports, where the treasure is the Baron. That is the goal. That's what they're looking for. But at this point here, Splyce needs to outplay them in team fights. That's actually now the next step, because they have not been able to use the global comp. They've not been able to use the early advantage. So it's time for Copy on this Sivir to become a massive carry in the late game. He has multiple tanks protecting him and a black shield. So if Copy can actually get to 3-4 items himself, he can challenge Sven in late game fights.
Which team comp, champion-wise, do you prefer? Because they each have different abilities and 5v5 prowess.
I would say G2 with a secondary carry in Cassiopeia will be my preferred choice. I also think the Mega Gnar compared to Camille is more impactful in fights. Let's see bot lane.
That was such a good play from Expect with a little bit of support here from Miffy. That's going to be a relatively easy kill. It's Miffy that actually picks it up. While that's going on, though, Splyce, they've started the Baron.
Yeah, right there. Thresh, Cassiopeia, bottom lane. They're not here. Splyce needs to rush down this Baron to secure it. Triggers behind them.
Remember, they've only got that 1 primary damage source with Camille, with Wonder dead. Baron is going low. Sven's moving and trying to get the crit. Elastic slingshot in. 2,000 hit points on Baron. The Cataclysm's already used. Who gets the final? It's stolen by Trick. He smites it and flashes out. Now Mickey's running for his life. It's all gone to hell for Splyce. Expected mini-gnaw. He gets another. Sven's got a double. Jumps back into the pit. And it's Trick that closes out the ace.
And that is a tilter for Splyce after such a clean early game. Everything just goes wrong when they finally try and start the Baron. It is instantly a good reaction from G2 eSports. As you said, Trevor, the damage is not there. It was just Copy to try and burn it down in time. Not enough for Splyce. They lose it as well. And it's now Baron for G2. It's now a 3k gold lead. It's another mid tower dying. And G2 eSports, they defended well. They invested in defensive vision. They reacted well to the roams.
Yep.
And they have now climbed their way back in this game and actually taken control.
Well, helps when Splyce took such a long time. And I'm trying to see where Cobby's offense
Hey, you said
goes.
better late than never.
I did indeed. And G2 will be saying the same thing. Better a late Baron than never.
I guess Strick will get that one in the end. They're trying to kill him before he can smite it, but it's already, you know, gone downhill even before he jumps in when they're forced to try and make this play. And with Expect picking up a few kills and Senkuk's dying in the end here, there's nothing left standing for Splyce. And it looks a lot like a game one win for G2. And I mean, it's the worst kind of loss for Splyce they're looking at the moment. They executed their game plan they've been preparing for 2 weeks. And then they can't actually push it further. They did the first few steps and they couldn't actually finish.
And literally everything we talked about prep-wise, with Wonder being on a bruiser, side lane pressure type champion, Expect being on one of his signatures in Gnar, the utility, the supportive style mid laners for Senkux, it all came together and it worked. It worked. But it was just that next step. Maybe Splyce were surprised themselves they had such a huge lead.
They're like, wait, what do we do now?
See, that's saying better late than never. While it is true, it doesn't repair the damage.
Oh, that
whatever you're late
man.
to, people remember.
You do not want to look at that graphic. It's painful. It is a quarterfinal. You play against G2 eSports, won 3 splits in a row, and it looked like you were about to win game 1. Perfect confidence start. And then you lose everything.
Yeah.
And G2 right now, they're pushing for that bot inhib tower.
Let's see how quickly G2 can take advantage. Look, the tower's already done. Miasma gonna block any sort of dashes over. Inhibitor being hammered away. Sven's got himself 3.5 items as the inhibitor's already dropped. Took just over 3 minutes. Baron obviously gonna help that cause. But it was that level of decisiveness and know-how, maybe, that Splyce was struggling with. Now, we assume G2 are going to start to close this game out. They've got supers in a lane. They've now regained the gold lead. Gigantic swing plus 6,000.
Yeah, they're really far in items all of a sudden, despite being down the entire game. We have their 4 items on Sven is ready. Perks, while he's not being able to rack up a lot of kills in this game, literally just held the mid lane tower for 20 minutes.
Yep.
And that was all he needed to do for G2 eSports.
G2 had all the support when necessary. You know, Mithy was there a little bit, Trick was there a little bit.
Yeah, I think Mithy on Thresh is actually an unsung hero in this one. Very, very often, when it looked like Splyce were making a little roam or play, Mithy was there. There was always the lantern safety if needed. And while it's not been a big flashy performance from anyone, the fact that he's in the right position offers a lot of safety for his team to kill another wave and, you know, keep the tower alive for a little longer.
And you can just see that experience for G2 shining through. They were down a gigantic amount at 15 minutes. And the truth is, you never counted them out. You never thought, hey, you know, that's it, it's done.
I don't know. You're right. Like, technically, you don't want to count them out because it is G2, but when Splyce had a 4k gold lead and were pushing bot lane with Camille, I was kind of like, yeah, this is it, you know. They're either going to dive the bot lane tower with Galio, or they're going to go mid and force the mid lane tower and have full map control. I'm like, this is actually going to be a Splyce win.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to jinx it.
I've just heard, you know, you thought it though, and I've heard and I've remembered you putting your faith in teams many, many times, and sometimes it just falls a little short. But the main thing that I wanted to get to is just that G2, as you mentioned, they have won 3 splits in a row. They've got a gigantic win-loss record over Splyce, and they just did everything right when defending. And that's something that we very rarely talk about. And just how difficult it is to be in that position and respond well. Defensive wards were great. They pushed them out the moment they got a chance, etc.
It's true, because it's always easier to look at the team who's supposed to be aggressive and say, why are they not winning? Why are they not getting further ahead? Instead of actually turning around and say, well, what is the other team doing in response? And as you highlighted earlier, and as we talked about, like, a lot of vision control to spot Camille moving around. Sven just sat in the top lane, and as long as he was allowed to do it, he just kept pushing. Like, he didn't have to change anything.
Yep.
So I think G2 just reacted very well to be under pressure. They will get a Cloud Drake, which is the big reward and what they've been working for the last 32 minutes.
Yep, and of course, Sven wants to send his regards with the help of Lord Dominic, as well as a QSS, so 4.5 items, which is terrifying.
Whoever that Dominic guy is.
Tristana. I mean, he sends a lot of regards.
He does.
You know, but only later, not early. He wants you to wait. First dragon of the series goes to
Playing hard to get
G2.
every time.
And now the question is for Splyce. Can they use their wave clear of Galio and Sivir to buy enough time and maybe win a Baron fight? But the chances are so difficult. Mithy's already flashed to safety, uses that Lantern once again. G2 starting to surround Splyce. The fight is split up. Petrifying Gaze already used. Senkax is buying as much time as he can. Death Sentence onto Trashy connects. Mithy, the unsung hero, we're singing his praises. Another Elastic Slingshot comes in as the hero's entrance and Justice Punch take down Expect. But Sven still untouched. He's hammering away into Senkax. Manages to take him down. Can Rocket jump over the wall? Not going to get any more. The assist may have reset it, and Splyce lose 3.
Another good team fight here from G2, but I like the fact that Splyce at least trying to force a play here. Was actually a pretty cool play from Trashy early on, but it didn't end up working. Mithy is hoping someone will click the Lantern.
Eventually, he brings Perks to play. Trying to just clear out that wave as much as possible. Kobe gets dropped by Perks, and with only Wonder remaining, G2 set their sights on the next inhibitor.
We'll at least get the mid lane one. There are very few minions around to actually further assist them because Wonder is killing the top lane one, the bot lane one, sorry. I do want to see in the replay here how Trashy tried to set up the play. Was smart and could have worked, but ended up backfiring. So what he's doing here is he engages on Perks, and when he sees the Lantern, he thinks Perks will click the Lantern, so he ultis onto Mithy, thinking that Perks will obviously click the Lantern and get in the ulti. Perks did not do that, and Trashy ended up actually not really catching anyone with this engage, and now we get back right into the live action. Another fight might happen.
Yeah, Expect is teleporting into the Baron pit. The rest of G2 moving forward. Mithy, Black Shield would have prevented that Death Sentence from doing anything.
Which is why Mithy missed on purpose. Don't want to give Mickey the satisfaction of having Black Shield at his hook.
Mind games it. G2, by the way, nearly 10,000 gold up. Baron will push them over it. There's 0 defense here from Splyce. Even if they wanted to try, they've got to walk through so many wards. So G2 will pick up the second Baron of the game at 35 minutes, and both inhibitors are alive, but this Baron should allow them to push in and knock that over.
And for anyone who watched NA LCS yesterday, we saw Team Dignitas try the same strategy as Splyce here. Surrender your inhibitors, have Sivir, farm all 3 lanes with double super minions, get to 6 items, and then team fight.
Yep.
That is currently the win condition for Splyce.
And we've seen that on European soil a few times in the past. I believe Reckless actually set the European CS record doing the same thing.
Right, so it is a proven strategy that tends to win you games.
It can,
At least we only remember the wins. We don't actually remember the losses. But
well, that's how it works.
Yeah,
remember?
Exactly. So this is actually all planned from Splyce.
Results-based analysis and results-based memories.
That's true.
You see? Exactly.
Very true.
So those magical moments.
So problem is they have inhibitors alive. They need to die so they can get the super minions.
You didn't get to the next page of the script. Those inhibitors will drop soon. Baron will wear off, and then Kobe's going to farm 2 lanes of supers. Because look at G2, they're grouping. 2 and a bit minutes left. By the way, Sven's got his 5th item, Mercurial Scimitar.
Yeah, we don't talk about the other AD carry in this. It's about Sivir.
We don't, because Kobe's still only on 3.5. He's trying to still get in touch with Lord Dominic, who's not sent his regards.
He will soon, though, Trevor.
We will see that.
So they need to let this inhib drop, as they probably can't fight G2. Trashy have no flash for a potential engage.
And keep following Mithy, of course. He's been the game changer. Sven's been locked in by the Hextech ultimatum, and he's shut down. Wonder gets the kill credit. That's a great gnaw into the Cataclysm that was put down by Trashy. Wonder's found Perks. He's not going to find him just yet. The Hourglass buys some time. 2 kills for G2, and Senkax gets another. And we talked about the wave clear in the late game as Trick. I think he's going to get dropped here. Senkax trying to chase him down. Zach passive, I believe, still available. We'll get that popped in just a moment. If skill shots can hit, blast cone! That is just to go down.
Dude,
no passive.
They were missing so many flashes on the side of Splyce. Sven had everything available, and they still managed to kill him during the engage. Let's see what happens here. Looking at Sven only. Okay, he gets ulted by Camille, so obviously the summoners don't matter, and that was pretty easy actually. Yep. Camille just goes straight at him. Sven thought he could just freely take the inhib, and then he got engaged on.
Didn't see if the Buster shot was fired early enough, but it looked like Rocket Jump was interrupted, and Splyce
Yeah, he
will...
tried to rocket jump out of the Camille ulti, and that obviously doesn't work.
Even I know that doesn't work. But Splyce not giving up. That's a few times in a row now. Trashy and Wonder leading the charge on those engages.
Yeah.
There's hope. There's fire left in Splyce.
And that was very clearly an unexpected engage from Splyce against G2 because Sven was not ready for it. He would not have stood that far forward and actually exposed himself to that Camille and the full Splyce lineup. They didn't get inhib. Splyce have now 4 items on Cobby. The severe win condition, we're getting closer.
It's going to be a little longer though, as Cobby's still going to sell that Dorans and pick up another item.
Sell your Dorans? Ooh.
Elder Dragon in 30 seconds. Baron just about to wear off, so a few more minutes before that spawns. And Splyce and G2 now are going to be contesting around Elder, potentially.
And next fight from Splyce could be exactly the same. Camille all-ins onto Sven with ulti. Galio ulti comes down on the Camille, and Sven cannot get out. He can't get away.
Mega no, expects got flash. Not going to go in for it yet. 5 seconds for Elder.
I've seen this before.
Where is Wonder? What happens to Fisher?
G2 rushed the base against Fnatic when Fnatic did Elder Drake, and they tried to actually backdoor him. This time around, they are staying around the Elder Drake to try and fight it. They're coming in to fight.
All right, Wonder's here as well. Wonder's looking for a hook shot over the wall. Where is Sven or where is Perks? We need to see the damage dealers from G2. Sven's coming in from the side. So is Perks. Wonder puts down the Hextech ultimatum, but the Elder Dragon still hammering away on Splyce. Mickey's almost killed by Elder Dragon as Expect and Trick go in. They've taken down Mickey. Wonder's forced away with the Buster shot. The Let's Bounce comes down from Trick. Now Splyce are rooted, running for their lives. Cobby's caught out and stunned. Trashy gets a little bit of safety away. And Elder now being started by G2. Miffy gets supported by everybody on G2 as Wonder's clearly the target. He gets taken down.
Wonder needed the black shield on him to avoid that Tristana ulti from knocking him out of his own ulti. But because he was flanking, Mickey was not in range to actually help him. And that suddenly meant that the entire engage of diving onto Sven with everything you got backfired, didn't actually set up any kills. No black shield here for the Camille, and that means that this time around Sven is ready, unlike the one last time.
And this time around, G2 have got Elder Dragon at 40 minutes. An 11,000 gold lead and 2 exposed inhibitors. Baron power play of plus 25 gold because, of course, they lost the team fight.
It's a positive, though.
On the first siege, always the optimist official. That's awesome. Well done.
Okay, so we have now seen 2 different fights.
2 inhibitors down, and now Cobby can farm.
It's smart, but he's almost there. Actually, he needs to sell his boots as well and get item number 6, but we've seen 2 different fights now. Objective for Splyce have been the same in both of them. Dive onto Sven. First one, they got onto Sven, he couldn't get them away, he was stuck in a Camille ult. This time around, no black shield on Wonder, Sven can just knock him away, get out of the Camille ulti, and he stays alive. And this suddenly means the coordination that Splyce needs to engage was not there. The flank was unsuccessful, and they lose the fight.
And I just saw how huge that stretching strike was from Trick, managing to pull Trashy back from trying to help Wonder out. Regardless, Wonder gets run down. And G2 remain in control, even more absolute control now, thanks to 2 lanes of super minions.
And this fight showed us another reason for why Tristana is first pick worthy. She can peel for herself. Other AD carries couldn't get rid of that Camille. Well, Tristana can if she's left 1v1, and that's what Sven did right here. And we have to remember, if they're all focusing on Sven, Perks is soon on full items as well. Like, there is still a Cassiopeia dealing damage.
Yeah, he almost 2-shot Mickey. Petrifying Gaze and I think 1 Twin Fang. And
it's always fun to be supported in the late game.
Yeah.
Squishy range support in the late games, you feel so powerful.
Well, that's definitely what Mickey's hoping to feel.
He won't feel
can
powerful.
Pull back. All right, Deficio. 20 seconds until Baron. Cobby and Wonder doing a good job of shoving those super minions back. But as it stands, G2 are grouping. Teleport's available for Wonder. He's now starting to recall.
So we got the push. Remember, there's Tristana hitting this tower, already down to 50%. Wonder is behind. Remember, again, if he's flanking, there's no black shield for him, which means he can't just target down Sven easily.
Wonder's been spotted walking over a ward. He channeled his teleport for that, guys. Hero's entrance available to Senkux, and Baron will be the target. If G2 play for time, that's how they can allow supers into the base and either force a play from Splyce or force the Baron. Either way, that's a way G2 can pull ahead.
Still hovering around bound. Wonder goes in.
All right, Sven seems to be the target. Buster shot
on
has
him.
been fired. Sven
There it
is
is.
taken down. Where is Perks now? He's exhausted. Everybody from Splyce is jumping out. The stuns come down. There's no damage left. G2 just got dunks. Cataclysm comes out after the flag and drag. The Gnar into the wall, but it's Cobby with a double kill. Baron is available, but there's supers in the base.
So there are 2 waves of super minions going for the Nexus turrets, but they should be able to rush down Baron and still have someone recall. Senkux is going back. Trick is not going for a smite still. He just recalled. And right there, Trevor, we're back to the first fight we saw. Black Shield was on the Camille. Straight onto Sven. He cannot get away. He cannot knock her away. He needs someone to break that Black Shield instantly, or he will die, like we just saw here.
Well, Senkux with his wave clear and Baron empowered minions holding on. Splyce are still down 8,000 gold as we get to 45 minutes,
Right.
but look at this engage.
Yeah, no flanking from one. He jumps in. Look at Mickey coming straight to him with the Black Shield onto Camille. It's hard to see it, but it is there, and that allows the Galio ulti to land as well. And then Sven will die instantly. When Camille jumps in, if they cannot knock her away before the shield, Sven will die. I don't know what it needs to be, like instant ulti from the Tristana is probably necessary here from Sven. We didn't see it this time around, and Sven died.
Need to see that in ultra slow-mo, because I think the Buster shot came down only as the Black Shield arrived.
I think so too, because Mickey wasn't instantly there with the Black Shield, but he joined like a second after, and that's where I think Sven used his ulti. So like we're talking seconds here.
Yes, milliseconds.
Milliseconds even.
In that scenario, Sven, by the way, has got himself a GA.
That's smart.
So that's
like,
going to be
kill him twice.
advantageous if Splyce can also shut down Perks. What I liked about the latter half of that fight, Mickey flashed forward and exhausted Perks almost instantly. Tried to jump in there and
Going again.
lock him down. Look, pulled back inside. Sven is rooted, but he's got the GA, remember. Will come back alive. Searching strikes, pull Cobby backwards. Where's Sven? He's flashed. No, he's still got it available. Flash and heal up. Flashes backwards. Flag and drag down. Splyce will just keep chasing. They take him down. They kill Perks as well. G2 cannot keep Sven alive. Miffy now the target after expect, and they're going to defend for a few seconds longer. 3 kills to Splyce.
They're doing it again. It's the exact same thing. They abandon the flank. They just engage 5-on-5 head on. Instant Black Shield on Wonder. Gets onto Sven, kills him the first time. Trick is, for some reason, still alive again and will escape. Senkux is back in base. We've seen this all before. It just happened around the Baron.
Oh, 45 minutes in, and Splyce just keep winning team fights. 16 kills apiece.
And while all the bruisers are diving onto Sven, Copy just sits in the back line and just shoots away. No one is actually killing him fast enough, so he's getting so much damage off.
Officio, 20 minutes ago, you said that G2, if they won the game, it would be a tilter for Splyce. This is what tilt is made of if G2 lose the game. The Nexus turret is under siege as Mythy and Trick are trying to dissuade. 5 seconds for Perks and for Sven. Splyce realize they're in trouble. Wonder's now got to back away. Sven is already alive. He can rocket jump closer.
5 seconds unexpected with teleport. They're pinging some of the walls behind. They will kill Senkux here. There are still these inhibs they can go and kill, because Senkux will be dead for a long time. So this game is not over yet. So let's talk about one thing for G2. Because when it comes to breaking the Black Shield, mainly they're going to rely on Perks to do it. If he's able to actually hit Wonder during the engage, and if the Black Shield's on instantly, he can break it so fast in the late game. And then Sven can knock Wonder away. But it's very hard to do in time because, again, it is so quick. It's literally the full-on engage with Sivir ulti and everything, and then you have like a second to make sure the Black Shield is gone.
If that. Officio, 35 seconds before Senkux comes alive in a 4v5 and still behind in gold. How does Splyce defend this?
Well, let's see. They will have to try and just kill the minions, most importantly, so the towers get that bonus. For now, they will surrender the first inhib.
All right, so Nexus turret, that's what they're trying to defend. 13 seconds before Senkux is back up.
Yeah, you can't defend the inhib easily, so losing inhibs but not your Nexus is still a small win.
Okay.
A weird win, but it is a win.
Oh, weird win for Splyce.
I mean, so it's a win because they could have lost the game. They obviously lost out on this one pretty big. Oh, that Sivir is starting to deal a lot of damage, as we saw in the last few fights, where all the focus from us is like on Sven. We just look at Sven, and we look at the Camille and the Galio and the Jarvan all trying to kill the Tristana. While Copy is just sitting in the back being like, oh, hey guys, yep, just gonna keep hammering away with all my AoE damage in the late game.
Cobby, 2-3-11 this game. Definitely in a fairly happy spot. He's still got his Berserker's Greaves. So if he wants to pull the magic off, farming those super minions in the 2 lanes, getting his 6th item, and we've said it before, Sivir can farm against super minions and then win the game.
I just can't believe it actually happened. I was more setting up as a joke of like, yeah, they're gonna farm all the super minions and it's fine. And yet, we actually get to the point in the game where he did manage to do that. He's getting towards 6 items, and the rest of his team have found a way to win team fights.
And it might be around the next Elder. Maybe 2 minutes away. Baron a minute after that, roughly. Now let's see whether or not that's going to set us up for another big team fight, because Splyce lost the first Elder Dragon fight, and that's what put them even further behind.
That's where Wonder was standing away from his team and tried to get onto Sven in a 1v1, and that is not the way to go.
So we need to keep our eyes on Wonder and how close he is to Mickey as the next team fights break out, because
6 items on Sivir, it's here.
It's happening! It's happening! Cue the gifts!
Meanwhile, Sven is sitting with a fairly useless GA that is obviously not ready right now after he lost it in the previous fight in the mid lane, so he's actually behind in terms of items right now.
Oh, GA is up for expect though. Give him a little bit of additional survivability. Baron 1 minute 20, Elder Dragon 105. We have a potential for a split objective. And this is exposed based on G2, exposed based on Splyce. How on earth does anybody prepare for the 50-minute shenanigans that we're seeing right now?
Definitely not in European scrims where you FF after 20 minutes. So none of these guys have seen this before. What's also awesome, by the way, is this is the first game.
Yes. Oh, please, please give me more of this.
There might be like 4 more of these.
We can hope so. Deficio, what happens next? Who makes the first move? It's clear Splyce are still defending against supers.
We know the engage is on Splyce. They're the ones starting the fight. It's on G2 to try and defend. They're going in.
All right, let's see. Sven's already caught back in. Back shields on him. Sven going low. 300 HP. Gets the heals. Not enough to survive. His GA was available. Comes back up. The lantern's there. Will he be able to click it? No! Perks is now untucked. Where do Splyce go? The engage from Senkax and Trashy. They're forced to back away. It's 5-on-4. As expects, GA brings him back to life. Splyce still not done. Trick is the next target. Copy continues to chase. Flash and heal available to him as Mithy and Perks are running for their lives. Hook shot onto the wall. Precision protocol. And Wonder manages to get the active out of Perks. Still not done. Flash into taunt. Double kill. Now the Nexus turrets.
Expect is trying to backdoor. He's on his way, but Trashy is behind him. The rest of Splyce are pushing for the Nexus.
Oh, there's no ways that Expect's going to be able to do this. And after 50 minutes of back and forth, Splyce draw first blood against G2.
That's what I call a game 1. Holy moly, this was a back and forth. Let's remember, Splyce had such a clean early game with a great plan that was executed well. It all slowed down in the mid game. G2 got back, Sven got his items, they were winning fights, they got Baron, and it looked lost for Splyce. And then they found out, well, we have a Camille ulti and a Black Shield. Let's combine the two and just kill the Tristana.
The prophecy of farming 2 lanes of super minions until Sivir gets 6 items and then wins the game. It happened within about 3 minutes. Within about 3 minutes of the 6th item being picked up for Kobe.
And the best part, it wasn't even about Sivir winning the fights.
No.
It was actually about Wonder and Trashy and Senkooks and then the Black Shield for Mickey, who of course was part of the team. They're being like, here's a Black Shield, I've done my job, you guys go and kill these guys.
Such an exciting start to the series. And
oh, man.
How on earth, you know, how do you bounce back from this? G2 eSports, they dug deep, they defended, they got bounced. I mean, I was telling you some interesting stats, right? Splyce got 2 dragons this game. That's all they got against G2 the entire year. In all 5 of their previous games. They got 1 Baron, again, all they got the entire year. They're going to break those records in the next game.
You don't know that.
I don't. And with that note, Splyce, they got the win in that crazy game. Let's head over to the analyst desk to find out how it went down. Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much, Trevor. If anything, as a spectator, it was awesome to watch. I'm not going to do the total prediction shame yet, but what was the consensus here is that it might be close games, even if it was a 3-0 or a 3-1. And this was definitely a very close game. And I just want to call up immediately one of the last team fights where Splyce turns it around, because there was a big discussion about what is the breaking factor here. Is it the Camille and the Morgana? Would he be able to escape? So what is the consensus, probably?
I mean, I think the reason why I like this fight so much, because this was the moment when Splyce was like, oh wait, like, Camille can actually stick on Tristana with Black Shield, and you can kind of see like their brains turn on, and they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do for every fight from now on.
And was there any way for Tristana to escape it in the following fight?
So, you know, this is the discussion that
point,
we have
yeah.
a lot of on the, because I was a firm believer that, I mean, at this point, Trist can't really do anything. Like, Trist is going to die in every single fight. Maybe you can go Stoneplay. Probably suggested maybe Zhonya's, maybe. But, like, it's one of those things where it's extremely difficult because if you're Trist, all you want to do is survive for as long as possible, reposition, and then continue on with the fight. But when there's a Black Shield and there's a Camille and a Sivir on top of that, along with the Jarvan to just add insult to injury, I think, personally, that it's impossible, or near enough impossible, for the Tristana.
So there was no counterplay, according to Veddy.
I'm
Trevivan, what do you think? What do you think?
I'm not actually sure yet. Like I'm still thinking about it. But I think the Tristana has to react really well with like her jump whenever she sees Camille coming in, and then also he has to be lucky that the Camille doesn't get spell shielded, so the Tristana can ult her away, or maybe the caster has a good ult on the follow-up, so they can like disengage and then Tristana can survive. But every fight he got really one-shot, and yeah, that was not good.
No, it wasn't good at all. Let's take a look at another one of those fights, because there was one in between where it didn't work out, but then Splyce do the same thing, really, or is there anything different about this fight, Polly?
This was similar. I think they almost forgot that we needed the Black Shield, and Wonder went in too early. But this is also like, I think the counterplay here is just, you have to really sit and think about it, and G2 wasn't able to figure out in game. Because here, kind of, Camille just walks up to Sven, and he had a chance to ult before Black Shield came out. But the combo is counterplayable, but you have to be smart enough in game to figure it out in the moment.
Yeah, and we also can't forget the fact that Splyce, they needed these fights to turn it all around because they weren't in the best position. They have had a Baron throw before that. They didn't really know what to do in the mid-game, Vedius. So, hey, maybe it was their own insurance policy thought of beforehand.
Well, I feel that the whole purpose of Splyce's comp was to actually get an early game lead and snowball for that. This was something that we were talking about on the desk, and when they had that extremely good mid-game, or sorry, the mid-lane lead, and the fact that he was able to move up to the side lane, snowball top off, you had a great early game for Camille, you had pushing bot lane that was able to take a tower super early. The early game looked fantastic for Splyce, but as you rightly said, it was around this mid game where they just slowed down. They couldn't really figure out what to do, and that gave G2 an avenue back into the game. And I think that if they didn't have that combo, this would have been a clean comeback from G2, but because they got that one good fight, they found that identifiable thing that allowed them to win. That's what brought them back into the game.
A lot of curveballs for G2 in the next pick and ban. How much does Sivir go up in value in this scenario, or is it more other specific picks, Fevin?
I mean, I think the Camille Morgana thing is like a really specific thing. I haven't actually faced it myself yet. And like, if I would be in the same scenario as like Perks or Sven, that they always get focused, I would be like, oh, what do I actually have to do here? You know, because it's really hard, and you need like perfect plays to like deny this combo. But I don't think like Sivir priority will go up. I think more like Galio comp, maybe. They will maybe ban Galio or pick Galio, maybe. I'm not sure.
Right, well, it is very interesting. And when we were talking, we were looking at the game. Of course, Splyce had a Baron throw in the middle of the game. G2 also had an unlucky tower dive in the beginning of the game. We were talking about the mechanics of tilt and who tilts and who doesn't. Then there was a discrepancy between Prowley, who said, well, I wouldn't tilt off this, and Fevin from the player perspective. And Fevin from the player perspective saying, yeah, I would have trouble shaking this off. So can you kind of elaborate why you think you would tilt in a certain situation and why Prowley wouldn't?
I mean, obviously, Polly is older than me, so he has more emotional intelligence. But I think it's also, it's easy to say when you're at the desk, you know, and you're not actually playing the game. And like, I think it removes a lot of pressure. But like when you're in the game and you really are the carry and you have to step up, then the pressure really gets to you. And I think it just depends how you handle your emotions.
Yeah, someone like Sven, obviously, we know that he's pretty good, I think, in controlling his emotions,
sure,
or in this case, not?
I always thought or think that Sven and Perks are like emotional players. Just by talking and playing with them in solo queue, also playing in scrims, but not like they will play really bad afterwards. They will still play really good, but like maybe a bit worse, I think.
Coach's perspective, why should you not tilt after something like this? Well, obviously you want to win the series, but how do you keep them from?
I preach to my players too much, so since only one of my players is here, I'll spare the audience of the world because it's not a fun conversation. But I think, I don't know, Splyce's mental was pretty strong that game, in my opinion. Like, after that Baron throw, I think what drove the Baron throw was they got frustrated in the mid game, right? Like they couldn't break mid tower, so they like did this 50-50 Nash when Wonder died bot lane. They did a 50-50 Nash 4v5. That seems like a pretty emotional play. And then even after that, they kind of figured out like, I think it was by accident. Like, let's just Black Shield Camille and like really, really hope that we can kill her first.
I don't know. Like
don't
we keep saying it's by accident, but this might as well just have been their plan right from the start, right?
But it makes you wonder then why they didn't utilize it earlier in the game.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I'm working
That's
with
a
this.
good
Like,
point.
I think they figured it out kind of, like, maybe they knew about it or they obviously did, but they didn't have the confidence in it. Because later in the game, you saw, like, they're very confident, like, we can just 5v5
This
and we'll
is
do
it,
this.
yeah.
But then if you knew that at, like, 20 minutes, you wouldn't do that Nash. You would just be like, all right, guys, let's group, and then let's just do Black Shield on Camille, like, go, buddy.
I
Yeah,
hope
'cause
we
you
can
could've-
ask them
You
after.
could have used the Nash, right? Like, you literally say, hey, Nash is up. We're group 5. We make them come to us. We know how we're going to win the fight. So
We'll ask them after. Fevin, did you have a final note?
No.
Okay, well, we're dropping it then. Also, in terms of predictions, obviously, you guys are out of the race. Verius is still in the race, but you guys were all correct in that it might be very close, and it is shaping
Out
up
of
to
the
be a good
race.
series. Splyce are looking to take their first series against the champions. Let's